morning. So this video should really help with the week 2 midterm in the class. Let's go over some of the different type properties. So this is a really great website, and I'm also going to share this link with you, but there's a lot of really good visuals and definitions to help you out this week. So let's look at some of the type properties. So this is the anatomy of fonts. So we have the height, which the cap height, which goes up to the top of a capital letter, but then we have this line that's called the X height, and it's actually, the X height is determined by the letter X in each font and how tall it stands. So, if there was a letter X right here, it would go right to this line. Then we have fonts that are serifs. So serif fonts have these little feet right here, and it usually comes down in a bevel. And if it doesn't curve right here, what it is that would then make it, this so you can see it a little bit better. If it doesn't curve right here, then if it's squared out, that would be what we consider a slab serif. Then we have the letter spacing in between the letters. And we have the leading, which is the amount of space between two separate lines of text. So you can see we've got another serif here. And then the baseline, that's where the type sits on. Kind of like the lines of lined paper. And this is, that baseline is when we set up that baseline grid, we're setting up the spacing between each of the baselines on a grid in InDesign. Now, when you see a stroke, think back to DES 103 and your week 2 or week 3 assessment, I believe it was, where you turned your fonts to outlines. That is the stroke that you would see, the outline of the entire font. The stem, any line. Think of the stem of a petal of a flower. It's kind of that straight line on the font. Anything that descends below the baseline is a descender. Anything that comes up above the cap or above the X height and sometimes comes above the cap height is an ascender. And then that empty space, that negative space inside of a letter, that's the aperture. So again, here's that baseline, another good visual of that baseline. And this goes into a little bit of, putting together a baseline grid and more about the cap height. So again, the height of the capital letter. And then the X height. See, it's based off of the letter X, or how tall the lowercase x is for each of the fonts. Then we have weight. So most fonts come with or are designed with a different weight. And I feel that that is a good determination of how good that font is, by how many different weights are available for that font. So you don't have to have a faux bold that you put on or a faux italic that you put on. So right here you can see the light, the regular, the medium, and the bold of this font. And it just increases. Then we have, again, those type classifications. So serifs have the feet, while sans serifs do not have any feet, and then slab serifs have those heavy feet. So here is an old style serif. It's still a serif because it's rounded. It's a little bit rounded. This is more of a transitional serif. This is what they call a neoclassical serif. And then this is that slab serif, much more, just clunkier. I always like to think of them as a clunky-heeled shoe, the slab serif. whereas your other more traditional serifs are more like a stiletto. And I'm not a shoe person. Then we have those sans serifs. So those ones don't have any feet. They're without. Sans means without. So without serifs, without feet. So this one is what we call a grotesque sans serif. This one is more of a humanist sans serif. And then this one is a geometric sans serif. Then you have your monospace type, your handwritten type, which can include black letter script or just handwriting. More of a display type. So display type, again, is really good for headlines, not good for body copy. If you were going to, pick a type that would be best, let's say for a paragraph or for body styles, I would only use a serif or a sans serif, and out of the sans serif or the serif, I would only use the book or the regular weight for that paragraph or body styles. And again, this goes into readability. So letter spacing, the space in between the letters, that is the tracking. Then we have the space that is in between, if you want to get specific, there's tracking and kerning. So when the space is the same, we usually track the space, but if we tighten up certain letters and the space is different, that's usually when we are kerning it. The space between the lines of type, that would be your leading. And then you can add paragraph spacing. So that's that extra space in between two different paragraphs. And we've got a little bit about alignment here, left alignment, right alignment, center alignment. Center alignment is actually the hardest alignment to read for body copy. When you have paragraphs of text, you want it to just be left aligned. Now, one thing that we didn't go over is the Glyph panel. So let me just pull that up. So glyphs are great because they can put into your document, special fonts, special glyphs, and glyphs are fractions, currency, math symbols. So they put those special symbols right into your document. Now, when you are putting your paragraph together and you're thinking back to readability, which was up here. One of the things that you want to think about is keeping it simple. Don't use too many fonts. Don't use too many font styles, bold, italic, black, regular, light. Keep it simple. That makes readability the best. So I hope that this website and this video will really help you to ace your midterm this week.